I'm Laura, Customer Success Manager for Axminster, and I've got Charlie Cross here with me. Charlie, can you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm the Chief Sales Manager for Axminster Tools. Most of what I do is deal with customer-facing sales agents across our business in customer service, sales and product-related inquiries.
Today we're going to talk about Axminster's customer service journey and how Freshdesk and Freshworks really has played into that and has been a partner to Axminster. So my first question, Charlie, is who are Axminster and where are you based?
So Axminster Tools are a family-run tool and machinery business based in the southwest in Devon. We've got 8 retail stores up and down the country. So one down here in Axminster, up as far as North Shields near Newcastle. So we have a product portfolio of over 15,000 products, predominantly in woodworking, but across many different areas. So DIY, decorating. We're family run, so we've been around for almost 50 years now. Family is at the heart of everything we do. Roughly, we have 270 employees up and down the country, but that fluctuates.
Fantastic. How many customer service agents do you have within that department at the moment?
So in customer services, by definition, sort of almost 20 people. But in terms of Freshdesk, at current and Fresh Chat, we have almost 80 agents across different sites and are all doing different job functions. So some of those are contact center, so customer service being part of that, as well as sales, products, after sales. Our stores are on Freshdesk as well.
Right, but they do, of course, all work together within Freshdesk.
Correct.
How would you describe that the organization operates and how many external customers use that service from Axminster Tools?
We are a predominant, mail order and retail business. So, retail makes up 20-30% of our business. Mail order and online sales makes up the rest, with different areas in export as well. So we're, quite a traditional retailer and mail order firm. In terms of customers, we have a really, really big and varied demographic of customers. Customer base is almost in the million now. It's not that sort of inactive and active. We're often dealing with probably upwards of 500, 600 different customers every day.
When it comes to your department's challenges, could you describe what the biggest challenges are and how do they factor into your company's strategy overall?
I think probably the same for most customer-facing sales style businesses. The challenge is always giving your customer the best possible service and doing that in the fastest possible way, the most efficient way. In doing that, the hardest part is always ensuring that you get decent ROI from that, in that you don't want the process to be too cumbersome, too long for agents. If it's too long for agents, it's too long for customers. Our strategy has always been we put our customer first and that we act on and listen to a customer's feedback. There is nothing better than hearing your own customer tell you what you should be doing. They're doing that from a standpoint that often you don't get to hear. It forms probably the biggest part of our strategy, and our relying sense is that if we do those two things extremely well, then our business will always succeed. It's something that Freshdesk and Fresh Chat, for that matter, really, really provide us with is that transparency, so that no matter where an agent is, no matter where they are, they can pick up the inquiry with the same level of detail as another person could in a different department or in a different place.
And when it comes to the customer first strategy, have you noticed over the years any changes on how that is really affecting the customer experience and maybe the feedback that you're getting? Have you noticed anything specific around that?
Freshdesk and Fresh Chat and Fresh Service, for that matter, for our IT team, all 3 of those products are BAU for us and have been for a number of years now. So we've not had to bring in a change in technology to help us deal with the pandemic. What we've noticed is a change in the way our customers like to talk to us. We've sort of seen it changing for a long time anyway. Our volume of tickets has only ever grown, it's never decreased. And we've seen a sort of 10 to 15% monthly increase on average in terms of ticket volumes, which has meant that our resolution SLA has gone down ever slightly, which is to be expected. But what we've seen is a massive change in chat and chat functionality. Before the pandemic, we were seeing probably an average of 30 chats a day. And that fluctuated, it could be up to 50, some days it could be 10. We've seen on average ever since March, 100% increase in the number of chats we're getting. And in fact, in certain days, we've seen that upwards of 120, 150 chats per day. So that's where we've seen the real biggest impact on the way we service our customers. We could do that from anywhere. So that was the flexibility and freedom that we had with the product, was that I didn't have to have someone within our contact center to do that. We didn't see the need, and we could resource it in a way which meant we could still offer the customers the best possible service whilst not necessarily being in our contact center. So again, it's another area of flexibility that the products provide you with. The key driver was the need for transparency. For a long time, we'd had email products, which meant that one person could potentially be looking at the same email in 3 different places, potentially replying to the customer in 3 different ways. So it was the need for transparency. Before we had Freshdesk, we had a just sort of very basic ticketing system, which meant that it got allocated to a person. And what that meant is that kind of slowly ingrained the culture of ticketing into the business. We very, very quickly outgrew that, and it had very basic functionality. In the end, we knew we'd come to a point where we had to change what we did, and that we were continually growing, so we needed something which was more out of the box and had better functionality. And eventually we fell on Freshdesk. Not only did we have already a link with Freshworks through Freshservice for our IT team, well, that gave us this confidence knowing that the support is there and that they treat their customers well. Freshdesk, because it had decent, more than reasonable functionality compared to the market at a reasonable cost. So it was a sort of natural conclusion that was what we ended on.
What were the biggest changes that you saw in terms of improvement for your agents?
Greater transparency was number one. Knowing someone else is looking at a ticket and knowing someone else is even replying to a ticket when you look at that is a massive benefit. It stops that increase in workload by just doubling what you're doing, potentially by everybody doing the same thing. What it also created was really, really good collaboration between different departments. Beforehand, you generally relied on internal email or picking up the phone. But when you're thinking about how you deal with your customers, and that you want to make sure you do that in the best possible way, but also in the fastest possible way to make sure you get ROI on everything you do, that collaboration is really, really key. The ability to add notes, not assign tickets, so that someone could just quickly reply, and just the ability to assign actually should you need to, knowing that you can still watch that ticket. So some of those small details and functions within it actually really revolutionized what we did as a business. And then in doing that, you make efficiencies, you speed up things you do, which means you can then spend more time understanding what else that product can do. Can it do automated tickets? How can you start populating your list of canned responses so that you can make everything else more efficient?
Are there any other features or parts of the tool that really have made a bigger difference? And as you already mentioned, collaboration is one of those.
There's loads of features within the product, and we use most of them to some extent. Canned responses being quite heavy up there, and ticket automations, so where we're doing the same thing over and over again, we can use an automation and scenarios within that to make sure that we do that in a really efficient way. We use some of the rules in behind, so that certain ticket types get sent to certain people, so again to minimize the amount of handling required. And then within different areas of our business, we do domain name based rules. So if it's got a certain domain name, then it goes to a certain group of people. So we've been able to create some really sort of quite clever efficiencies in there. The thing that people forget is the ability to actually monitor and measure how many tickets you're doing, how fast are you dealing with them, how many times do you have to reply to a customer, and measuring those SLAs. If you're looking at measuring how your business is performing to your customers, one of the key metrics should always be how quickly you get back to your customers. Without a software like Freshdesk, you can't do that. So and again, that's another area where we benefited massively, was having really good reporting features, which meant that we could make people accountable and actually make business and our customers understand how important our customers are by telling them that. Our CSAT results, for example, throughout this pandemic have got no worse. And no, that's probably a positive there. They've got no worse. They've only got slightly better in most areas. So before Freshdesk, we would have no idea our impact on customers without them picking up the phone and talking to us. Whereas now this gives us other ways to measure our impact.
Do you have any other success metrics that really also, and maybe also looking at before COVID, how those success metrics have changed when using Freshdesk and how those potentially have improved?
Yeah, so predominantly we look at CSAT. CSAT's a great way for us. It's always hard to get customer feedback good, bad, or indifferent. So CSAT surveys are a great way for us to actually get that. And predominantly we look at resolution times and first contact times. A metric that we're looking to really develop further is first contact resolution. And interestingly, we've not seen an increase or a decrease throughout this period. It's roughly stayed the same. In fact, in all of our metrics, we're just very lucky that we've managed to resource our teams and manage our teams in a way which mean that we can get back to the customers in the same time frames that they'd expect.
What has the feedback been from the teams once they were moved over to the Freshdesk and Freshchat products?
Is that ingrained into what our agents and our staff do, that it's almost like second nature? Without Freshdesk and Freshchat as products, we would have really struggled to serve our customers in the right way, which would inevitably have an impact on our business. So, feedback wise, the staff probably don't give us as much as we could ask them, but I think they all fully understand how important this software is. When you think you've got 80 agents in the business, there's 270 people, it's almost a third of your workforce using that ticketing software. So it really is critical to what we do.
And looking forward, Charlie, what's next for Axminster's customer experience journey?
Yeah, so like I said at the start, one of our key values as a business is putting our customers first. In fact, it's probably number one on the list. For us, it's encouraging more self-help. We are a very diverse business. We sell a lot of products to a lot of people, so it's often quite hard to do self-help because we know our customers could ask a myriad of different questions. But we need to develop sort of self-help further. And again, that's sort of the next step for us is getting our customers to almost do more for themselves. But to do that, we need to make sure we have the right information in the right place. We've been very lucky that we've managed to have so many good examples of good service throughout this period, and it's been with the help of Freshdesk and Freshchat.